Good morning. This is Clyde Checkray giving you best. Again, I am back. Again, I don't know who I'm talking to in reference to what I'm getting ready to share in regards to some background information about who I am. Born in Fort Smith, Arkansas, 1962, to Johnny May Potts, Clyde Checkray II. Of course, left there in 68 and ended up in Detroit. Dad ended up going down there. Friends that moved there prior to from Arkansas invited him down. Got there, got working at Chrysler. He did that. Mom was a stay-home mom. And of course, did a fantastic job in terms of nurturing and loving us, giving her best because of the love she had for us. Also, too, as well, and I want to talk about initially living in that kind of environment in the projects, One Encounters in Detroit. Again, I have six siblings, of course. I am the second to the youngest of that too as well. But I want to talk about some of the experiences that I had personally from my perspective, being who I am. And of course, living in a house with a man, of course, who was an alcoholic. And I say this to you in reference to that then, that I had no needs growing up in terms of how mom and dad provided for us. Mom, of course, was the nurturer. Dad was the worker. Mom later on became one who worked. Prior to that, in her younger years, she cleaned houses, etc., that kind of thing too. We're talking about the 50s for her, 60s for her, and then of course supporting and loving us too as well. Remember now, with an alcoholic. So my heart bleeds for any woman who's dealing with a man who has an addiction or a problem. I understood and I understand exactly how that is. But I want to talk about this in terms of how it affected me. And I say, being from Detroit, which I'm proud of, I am a Detroiter in heart. And of course, Detroit has given me a lot of things at the time I thought were negative. And what it really did now, as I understand that, it strengthened me in a lot of areas that I needed even to be able to function and deal with now. I say to you that being one of six kids, of course, being a second to the youngest, having older brothers, siblings, I understand that there were so many of us that grew up in the projects, of course, being such a chaotic place. Again, not knowing that until I got a little older, seeing the environment they were in. So much we don't understand as children in terms of the environment we were in. But I, in my opinion, of course, had a good childhood. We had a great household, very clean household. Not looking and seeing and thinking that we were poor at the time, financially deficient in that regard, because dad did a great job in terms of working. Mom did too, as far as loving us, cooking, cleaning, etc. Morals, values. Thumbs up to my mom, who's 85 now, who I love to death. And I have no issues with her in regards to what she did. She loved all of us the same. And of course, me personally, I think that being in a house with the man who did drink, I say to you, those who may be out there in these environments, I say to you now, and I understand where you are in terms of being victimized by those who may be enduring or giving you that kind of pain or discomfort or abuse, so to speak, in the house. I want to say to you that there's a winner in you. Don't give up. Don't be discouraged. I want you to continue to love you for who you are. And I say this to you because of what I've been through. I share a commonality with you in terms of, if you're in that kind of environment, no matter where you are, I say to you, those who may be in middle class or rich or whatever, you're not exempt from having issues in the family with either mom, dad, or the environment itself. I say to you that I want you to continue to press forward and not look at yourself as less than, because you are valued, you're worthy. And I say this to you, even though you don't know that now, what I've discovered and learned in the life that we do live is that I can choose to become and do all that I want to do for me. I can choose to focus on the negative, or I can choose to focus on the positive. I'm never stuck unless I think that I am. Never stuck unless you think you are. I say to you that you have your future in front of you, not behind you. I have learned this in the midst of growing up in that kind of environment, through the gangs that were going on back then, the Earl Flynn's, the Dirty Flynn's, the Project Dogs, the PKs, all of that. Went through all of that. Graduated middle school, dropped out ninth grade, went back, got my education, and got a associate degree in business management. Of course, now in the midst of all of that, I say this to you, that for those who are growing up in that kind of environment, for the most part, you become what you've been exposed to. That's good or bad. That's the negative or the positive in terms of I was in a house with a man who was an abuser, a drinker, who had issues prior to me not understanding who he was. As a matter of fact, I'll say this and admit this now. I did not like him, period. There were things that came out of his mouth that he said to me that I still remember. I don't allow it to affect me as it did before because I understood loving him and learning who he was. I began to love him more because of what he had went through as a child. Dad came from a privileged family, but he was neglected emotionally in terms of having the kind of guidance and love that he needed because his mom was ripping and running, of course. His grandmom raised him. So again, I say that to you in terms of where you are, being male or female. I say this to you in terms of the things that I experienced back then with Dad being who he was, and then finding out at 28 years old that he was not my dad. That was a shocker for me. And I had anger at the time because of the way he treated me. It kind of validated and confirmed why he handled me the way he did. Now, I didn't blame mom for that because mom did the best she could, of course, with the children that she did have. And of course, what transpired between them then, I'm just grateful to be here. Mom is a fantastic mom in my head. And I think my sisters and brothers will agree with you. Agree with me, I'm talking about in terms of that and what she did provide for us in terms of loving us, being the backbone of the family. Even though he did sponsor, he did support us financially. Again, we do appreciate that. I do appreciate that too as well. I didn't really start loving my dad until I found out who he was and got history on who he was, where he came from, what he had been through. And so it softened and gave me more compassion for him. But I left the house looking and acting like him in terms of his behavior. And so, of course, me being in the house growing up in my teen years, of course, I became a father at 16. And of course, with his behavior, his understanding, his thinking, you can imagine the conditions I was in then. And of course, how can I become a father without having one or seeing one who were teaching me what it meant to be a man and what it all entailed? Because he didn't. So we become what we've been exposed to. I ended up discovering so much about who I was when I came to Houston, Texas, of course, at 19, with my older brother, Charles. And of course, he has been a mentor, a guide, a leader in my life in a positive way. And of course, my brother Jimmy as well, who's under Charles. And they're two different in personalities in terms of what they gave me. Jimmy gave me more of a moral standpoint, a right and wrong standpoint. Charles gave me information and knowledge about who I was and what I could become. And so I appreciate both of them in terms of what they did do. And of course, after discovering at 20 years old that my dad was different, of course, he called me. Now, I say all that to you in terms of how it made me feel at the time, being young and not understanding. I was hurt more so than anything else because I always questioned why he handled me the way he did. And so again, of course, I was angry and disappointed with mom not sharing with me. But then I understood as I got older. I love my mom. And of course, no one's exempt from disappointing you. Mom, dad, children, sister, brother, it doesn't matter. But what I do appreciate is, and I thank God for this, I do. The Bible talks about your gift will make room for you and bring you before great men. And I have been exposed to men who were financially blessed, who were intellectually blessed, who had a wisdom and understanding that they could provide for me. My life started to change as I got older and I started absorbing information, in terms of the things that I could use and tools, because I had no tools. I was just an emotional wreck. And there were people who were around me who didn't even want to be a bother with me because of my anger, my response to things. And I say to you, anybody that can't control themselves is a danger not only to themselves, but those who may be around you. But I say to you that out of all of that, it didn't change my thirst or it didn't change my desire, my want to, my happiness that was within my heart. And what I was seeking and needing at the time, no different than you, young lady, young man, is guidance. And I say to you that you keep your faith. And if you don't have any, you need to learn how to stand on something and believe in something. And my choice was God, Jesus Christ being my Lord and Savior. And of course, giving the tools that I needed as I got older to be able to handle me and develop me and invest in me in becoming what I wanted to become. God has given us all a gift. And I say to you that the Bible talks about reading to show yourself approved. In the midst of learning who he was, my God, I discovered who I was. And so God was able to provide some things for me in terms of who I ran into growing up. And of course, thanking God for my brothers and the information that they gave me, the guidance they gave me as well. I say to you that with all that happening to me and all that I had been through, not counting the mistakes that were made, the falling down and getting back up as a father, trying to be a father, trying to be a husband. And I was young. Remember, I was 16, trying to do all I could. All I could offer my children was love because I didn't get that from mine. So I was overbearing. I was obsessed with loving my sons. And of course, life still unfolded for me. I made mistakes still. I didn't do any research in terms of, and I learned and I understand this now that, and I say to you, young lady, young man, before you give your heart to anybody, find out where they come from. You know, the Bible talks about being unequally yoked. And I say that in terms of understanding when you love somebody, you got to have a commonality with them in terms of morals, values, and so many things that you don't have, you pick up as you go along. I knew nothing about dreaming. I had no goals at the time. I started discovering who I was as I got older in my 20s and was still making mistakes. Again, being a young father, had no time for me developing me. I didn't get a chance to date and all of that. I was so busy loving my children and working for my children, providing for my children. And of course, the obstacles, the distractions that came along with that as well. What I say to you now, because I'm talking to me too as well, but those out there who may be in this situation, who may be becoming a young father, young mom, that you have to at some point stop the bleeding in terms of the things you need. Too many times we are dependent upon our emotions to make decisions, which is a bad thing. You know, ration, emotion, two different things. And I say to you that I want you to continue to hold on and keep your faith. And if I could tell you anything, continue to invest in you in terms of information, knowledge, learning who you are, finding out what you can do that's good, finding out what your gifting is, finding out and hanging out with people, being around people who are like you in terms of your morals, your values. There were too many times in my life where I compromised that because I was just learning me, discovering who I was, figuring out things that we all go through as people, as humans. And I say to you that your future's in front of you. I have taken my pain and I've used it now for fuel. And even then, I didn't know I know nothing about that, how I could turn that around. But it was all about my thinking. I am who I say I am. The Bible talks about, we who have the God kind of faith that call things that be not as though they were. We can speak this into existence as well. Again, and I understand that now as well. My main objective now, at this point in my life, is that my goals are still there. My dreams are still there in terms, at 62, they're still there. I'm just as hungry as I was, even more so now, predicated on the time and where I'm at now. I'm not planning on dying anytime soon, but I can't prevent that. Life is what it is. But in the midst of dying, leading my life the way it is now, moving forward, I'm going to live life to the fullest, chasing and attaining the things that I need for me to become all I need to be. I'm going to live it on full, and I'm going to live it to the fullest, and I'm going to die on empty, giving my best for me, learning how to make better decisions for myself, putting myself in the right soil, so to speak, environment, where I can attain and acquire and develop who I am even more so now. My main objective now, my main goal now is giving back. This program that I have developed and that I have come up with in terms of giving your best, for me, it kind of signifies and explains in terms of the things that I think that we should all be doing in terms of what we should be doing for ourselves, giving our best in the things that we have an interest in, a desire for, a goal, a plan, a career. And we should be doing that too as well. I will say to you that it does not make you exempt from the things that are going around you in the midst of doing that. You're still going to have your naysayers. You're still going to have conflict. You're going to have people who don't support you, people who do support you. I think it's important that you understand that your main objective should be, your main goal should be, your main thinking should be that as long as you stay focused on your plan, your purpose, and not lose you in the midst of all that's going on, you're going to be fine. I say to you, it does not change or negate the fact that you may be frustrated at times. There are times when doubt may slip in terms of trying to discourage you. And failing is not losing. Failing is teaching. The more you do something, the better you get at it. And so don't look at the mistakes that you may make in terms of you being exempt from having a great life. providing for your children, providing for yourself. I ask you and I say to you, I want to impart this to you, that we who have the God kind of faith that call things that be not as though they were, we can speak what we want into existence in terms of that. If you're not familiar with the Bible, if you're not familiar with the Word itself, that may be a little difficult for you to kind of comprehend or to absorb in terms of the statement I just made too as well. But it is true. You have to be positive about, what happens in your life and how you respond to it. Again, because you can't drink it away, you can't drug it away. The things that may be going on that you can fix, nothing happens overnight. Life is going to be a process, a succession of things that go on. What's important is to have a plan in terms of how you address it, deal with it in the various stages you go through, getting where you need to be at. I feel and I am more capable, I am more worthy, and I know my worth now more so than anything in terms of what I can do, what I want to be able to do, what I want to do that I am doing is giving back to the young folks in my communities who don't have a father, maybe with just one parent. Mom's giving her best, doing what she can to support. And I want you to take it upon yourself to have the initiative and be accountable for your own behavior and to give you what you need to as well. I will say to you, everybody that you know now, you can't take with you where you're going. You're going to lose some people. You're going to lose some relationships. And it's okay. And I say that as long as you don't lose you in the midst of all of that, you're going to be fine. Again, I say this to you because I care. I say it because I'm no different than you are in terms of moving forward, living this life that we live, having an optimistic attitude toward this life. I know that life is not what happens to me, it's how I respond to it. And so I have the steering wheel. I am the CEO of my life in terms of where I'm going, how I'm going to get there. But I have to have a plan. So again, for me sharing, I thank you for allowing me to. It is Monday morning, of course, and I am grateful and blessed to be able to share with you regarding some of the things and giving some background about who I am, where I came from, and what my intent is with you. So I ask you to be blessed. Stay prayerful. Never give up. And the future is available to you. Your success, your dreams or plans are waiting on you and everything you need to become and to capture or to attain that you have in you already. So be blessed and have a wonderful day. Again, my name is Clyde Chetgray, giving your best. Thank you.